Hello, this is me, and this is my first ever YouTube video with sound. I hope you're amazed. Last week, I was happily working on my retro style hockey game using my retro style game engine. Everything was just like normal. Birds were tweeting and people were socially distancing. Then suddenly, Sweden decided to not make it into the World Championship quarterfinals. Oh, and for a bit of context, I'm Swedish, and we're talking about ice hockey. Anyhow, that made me want to take a break from tiny ice hockey, as my game is now called, and see what my game engine, the tiny engine, is capable of, while adding some non-hockey related functionality that might be useful in future projects. I came up with a plan for a racing game, giving it the tentative name Tiny Racer. You might start to see a pattern in my naming convention. The end result should look something like this. I found a nice VGA palette to add that glorious 90s feel to it. And I spent way too much time on that mockup. But I digress. My tiny engine is written in C++ and relies heavily on Simple Direct Media Layer 2, a cross-platform development library. My plan for this project is as follows. Create a car and make it move around. Draw a map using ones and zeros and store it in a text file. Make the tiny engine magically translate the ones and zeros into road tiles and grass tiles, and maybe some other tiles too. And make the car interact with the environment and apply some collision detection. And finally, add some AI cars. In this episode, I will create a car and make it move around. So without further ado, let's begin. I started off with a simple template that shows this beautiful image. Then I designed the car. Here's the car. I think it looks good enough. Then there was a bit of coding. I use a method that is very popular but difficult to master. The spaghetti method. Just add whatever methods you need as you move along and create new variables all over the place. Let's compile. Compiler error. This has never happened to me before. One more try. Compile. And run. Everything seems to be working. Well, except for the rendering of the car, which unfortunately is quite an important part of a racing game. So it's back to coding. Finally, after some trial and error and some more compiling and cursing, I had a car on screen. So next step, make the car move. I connected my gamepad and assigned acceleration to button A and negative acceleration to button B. And no, I refuse to call it deceleration. Here we are, trying out acceleration. I always mix up sines and cosines. Soka Toa. So now it should work. Perfect. Now it's time for steering. It shouldn't be too much of a hassle to implement. Let's try it out. It looks like Bambi on ice. I guess it will look better after I implement rotation. I'll just have to adjust the steering variables. Alright, everything seems to be working. Last but not least, this is supposed to be tiny racer, not medium-sized racer, so I decided to scale it down a little. Much better. That's all I will do today. Thank you for watching to the end of this video, and if you enjoyed it, you are more than welcome to click on the like and subscribe buttons, wherever they are on the screen. Are you still there?